Good morning. It has been pointed out that we seldom know the reasons for suffering, but basically, suffering usually helps us to refocus on the essentials. Ray Stedman, commenting on the book of Job in the Holy Bible, said this: "Only God has the right to use men for whatever purpose he desires. In other words, God does not exist for man, but man exists for God. God is not a glorified bellboy at whom we can snap our fingers and have him run up asking, 'May I take your order?' No, instead, we exist for him. There are times when God does not adequately explain life to us. There are times when we must trust that not all suffering occurs because we're bad, but because it can also be the source of some final good. That's the lesson of the book of Job. Life is too complicated for us to handle alone. It gets so involved that we can't even be given some of the answers at times, but God is saying, if you just take a look at all the problems that I keep solving on the very simplest levels of life, and which even then are far beyond your ability to cope with, can't you trust me to work this one out as well?" Wow. In Romans 8:28, Paul rejoices, "We know that in everything God works for good with those who love him, who are called according to his purpose." But it's been my experience in life that it may take quite a while for us to know what that purpose is all about. Author Ron Davis points out that suffering is not in itself virtuous, nor is it a sign of holiness. It is also not a means of gaining points with God. So what is it with this suffering business? Davis gives several possibilities. We suffer as a testimony, as a witness. When people know you're suffering, but you don't blame God for it, it says something that could be said probably in no other way. Other reasons for suffering? We suffer to develop our capacity and sympathy in comforting others. Sometimes the purpose of suffering is to keep us from becoming overly proud of our religiosity. Suffering is also a good training tool. It contributes to the process of our becoming mature. And sometimes we suffer because we have unknowingly developed an attitude of self-righteousness where we depend on ourselves and not on the Lord. For sure, I know that my prayer life tends to get stale when everything seems to be going just like I want it to go. And on the other hand, I don't know of anyone who enjoys anguish and adversity, but difficulties and hardships can be a blessing in disguise. These things can be a catalyst for achieving new heights in our personal and spiritual lives. When trouble comes knocking on our door, we tend to relearn in a hurry how to pray with a passion. I'm Larry Hatfield. Good day.